everyone. This is Tara Quehl. I'm so excited to be joining you all today. I am with Tim and Josh. So Tim and I actually worked together for many years when I was at Fidelity and did a lot of really cool Salesforce journeys, building and launching implementations with Salesforce. And I was also a customer of Demandbase at the time and have switched over here to the tech side of the house. And Josh is one of our SEs that I work really closely together. And really, I mean, this workshop / webinar has been in progress, I think, for a year. We finally found the time to get everyone together and really excited to share it with you all today. So I'm going to have Josh switch to the agenda slide for me. I'm going to give a quick intro on kind of like what I'm hearing in the market and then the use case we're going to go through. And I'm going to flip it over to Josh and Tim to actually get in the tools and the platform for you all. So a lot of what I'm hearing in the financial services industry right now is really all about undergoing a significant technological innovation, I guess you could say, with generative AI. It's playing a pivotal role in the way that financial institutions are transforming, thinking about managing their assets, managing risk and client interactions. As somebody who now works on the tech side of the house, it's really important, I think, to recognize the role that AI has. It's, multifaceted, right? And leveraging AI's potential is exciting, but also it's important to balance that, I think, with the human aspect and really working to harness both of those together while acknowledging the need for security and balance, which is really, really important for those financial institutions. And I truly think that if AI is used together with humans, that we can really, kind of set up to uncover those valuable insights and drive actionable outcomes, especially, really empowering those financial institutions to make better decisions for their customers, which is what everyone is trying to do because financial services and literacy is so important. And so today what we're going to do is we are going to talk about a lead scoring, a hot scoring mechanism that Tim and I had created using Demandbase data and building it out through SFDC as long as with Journey Builder 2. And then I think we'll open up for questions. So I'm going to have Josh switch over to the use case and we're going to talk through that really quickly. So essentially what we're looking at is a lot of financial services folks are trying to expand their market share. The market's really volatile right now. And we basically are just using this as a, use case of a marketing blitz, trying to focus on upsell and retention. You could also think about this for new business as well and prospects. And essentially what's happening is like, they're generating a response, but they're not seeing any conversion on the back end. And so there is a sales enablement aspect as part of this. And like, how do you classify and score when to turn over marketing leads over to sales? So that's kind of the background there. And then I think I'm just going to turn it over to Josh so he can get into things and we can be on our way today.
Awesome. Thanks, Tara. Yeah, and just a couple more slides from me. If anyone's not familiar with Demandbase or our products, just want to kind of set the stage for the conversation there. So Demandbase is an account-based experience platform. Kind of at its core, what we're able to do is aggregate both the known and unknown engagement activities of target accounts and start to put together that fuller, bigger picture of account engagement. Where does that full picture come from? Number one, we're able to de-anonymize website traffic and tell you when target accounts are on your sites. Two, Demandbase sources our own proprietary intent. So this gives you some insight into what topics, articles, content your target accounts are researching out across the web. And then three, especially for today's use case, we connect into CRMs and marketing automation platforms such as Salesforce Marketing Cloud, to also score any sort of known engagements or conversion events that you have there. So things like that, all of those engagement activities are aggregated and summarized in our platform. You'll start to see that by these green bubbles that you see at the lower right as we move through the platform today. And then just the last thing to touch on here is the next step is predictive analytics. So beyond just kind of scoring engagement, injecting our account intelligence, Demandbase is able to build predictive analytics scores. We do that by summarizing engagement, qualification, and also past opportunity performance to give you our predictive score, which is called Pipeline Predict. And that really kind of ends up being one of the key indicators our customers use to start to better understand which accounts to prioritize and then really how to follow up and engage. So without further ado, I'm going to hop into the platform here. And if we didn't say so up front, if anyone has any questions while we're going through this, feel free to put them in the LinkedIn chat. We'll be happy to answer those questions as we go. But really for today's use case, we're talking about, how do we start to better categorize, score, and engage with a certain segment of accounts. So picking up where we were just leaving off in the slides, we're just looking at a given account list here in our home dashboard in the Demandbase platform. This is starting to give us some insight into, intent research these accounts have done, their overall engagement, where are they starting to fall on our predictive analytics scores. But diving deeper, we can start to really analyze, how mature, how familiar are these accounts with us, with our products, our solutions, in some of our deeper reports, such as the journey funnel. This is one of, and I will say, my favorite reports in Demandbase, which basically lets you start to categorize in a very configurable way, how engaged and how familiar are accounts as they move towards, as ideally becoming a customer and buying. So a couple of things we're able to do in this journey funnel, we can, and I'll start kind of at the very top of the funnel here and walk through a few use cases before we pass it over to Tim and show how we start to follow up in Salesforce. But even as we start to have accounts that are, for example, aware, these are accounts that are starting to show intent, but maybe they're not even aware of who we are yet, just potentially aware of a problem. We can, within the platform, scroll down, see all of those accounts that fall within that given bucket, and we can start to take action on those accounts directly from the Demandbase platform. And I would just call out, not the focus of today's session, but a great use case for top of the funnel engagement is our Demandbase advertising campaigns. So we also have our own ads platform built into our product here. It's a great way to start to advertise and get visibility into target accounts, maybe before you even have a deeper way to engage or connect there. But I'll say more on that for another session, because if we go deeper, what we're able to do is we say, let's say an account becomes engaged or enters the MQA stage, which is what we call marketing qualified accounts. Then we can start to take some more advanced engagement activities, things like pushing either contacts or accounts to partner platforms, sales engagement platforms, marketing automation platforms, or directly adding them into Salesforce or other CRMs. And so what I did is you actually can build orchestration automations within Demandbase to do exactly what we just walked through in an automated fashion. So just a couple examples of that. I'm taking any accounts here that hit that engaged journey stage where we have either CX or director level contacts. And then we can automatically start to enroll those contacts into campaigns over in our in this case, Salesforce Marketing Cloud tool. So this is a really great way to, as you start to think, how do we scale out our ABM initiatives? How do we start to, really tie content to accounts and their maturity and their engagement? And I've done the same thing over here in another tab where we go a level deeper, where we say, okay, when accounts hit that marketing qualified stage, Same thing. We're looking for CX or director level contacts that we have at these accounts. And we're also, in this case, I'm looking to make sure that they're not engaged in any other partnership selling activities. This is a great way that Demandbase lets you pull in other engagements and touch points from things like the CRM to build more, dynamic, tailored segmentation. But here, doing the same thing, I'm taking those contacts, pushing them directly into a Salesforce campaign, which Tim's going to take us through a little bit more detail there about how that's picked up on the other side and how we bring that full circle. But last thing I'll touch on is you can queue up any number of engagements in these automations as well. Where here I'm adding them to an outreach sequence for our SDRs. You can also start to add them to other demand-based advertising campaigns, or even, I guess we should mention, you could start to enroll them into LinkedIn campaigns. We have partnerships with all of the major social networking advertising sites as well. So I think that's a good stopping point.
I'm just going to add one thing, Josh, for any banks who may be on the line listening. If you have, let's just take equipment financing offer, for example, and you may want to be, creating some sort of omni-channel experience. You could, push ads to them. We also have integrations with direct mail partners. And so you could be, orchestrating a direct mail offer for them. If you're not hearing from them, same type of theory or concept here, right? That Tim's going to get into with Journey Builder is that you could drop them into a nurture sequence. Another thing that I was thinking about is if you have loans that are coming up for maturity, same type of concept, right? You could drop them into a nurture campaign, letting them know that their loan is about to mature. You could also have a portion of that orchestration that lets your relationship manager know that the loan is coming up for maturity and that they should be reaching out. I mean, there's a million different ways that you could use orchestration and Journey Builder together for financial services. The one other example that I was going to give really quickly is that, I come from an asset management background where there are a lot of what I would call like field events or a big client event that you're putting on. And you could also do the same type of approach, right? Where you're syncing them over to a Salesforce campaign, you're sending out direct mail to them, you're letting them know through advertising that there's, this localized event coming through, or if it's a larger event, maybe spending some ad dollars on that would be helpful as well. So just a couple of financial services examples before we turn it over to Tim to actually talk through the SFDC and the marketing cloud portion, which I think is really important as well.
Awesome. Tim, take it away.
Okay, excellent. So let's hop into...
Tim, I think you're muted.
Sorry, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? No, still? Can you hear me? I'm unmuted on my end, so sorry.
Maybe a settings issue.
Is that better? Can you hear me now? No?
I feel like I could maybe take a shot at talking through Tim's examples. Tim, give me a second to get situated here and I may be able to talk through them. This is always fun when you're at a live event. We worked through this yesterday. I thought that
So the audience can hear me? Okay.
Oh, okay. Apparently they can hear Tim and
All
we
right.
cannot. So, all right, Tim, well, you just
We'll
take it
go with
away
that.
then.
Okay. And can everyone see my screen? I'm in the Salesforce CRM environment. Yes. Okay, great. Okay, so like Josh and Tara said, we're going to start moving into how we wanted to show how the integration between Demandbase and Salesforce Marketing Cloud is basically native. So like Josh had created the automations, we've now created this campaign where those leads are folding in right in from Demandbase right here into Salesforce CRM. So if we click into this campaign, we can take a look at those 3 leads that Josh has fed right into this campaign. And a couple of things we want to point out is that with a status of an add to campaign, this is going to trigger the marketing automation, which is going to go through and a little bit on that end. So with those campaign members added, we're going to also do some updating to those campaign statuses in the marketing automation. We'll come back to this a little bit later. Taking a look at the other areas within the Salesforce CRM environment that are also synced naturally with Demandbase. If you take a look at the leads themselves, once the campaign member is added, a lead is created from Demandbase as well. And just taking a look at some of the fields that are in the lead object. We've got the standard fields that come out of the box. And then like what Josh mentioned, there's the predictive score that comes in natively from Demandbase, which we're going to use from a lead ranking standpoint. But also we want to do an ABM, an account-based ranking standpoint as well. So if we go into the account side, we can take a look at how that Demandbase data comes right into these Salesforce objects, where we're going to be using this ABM tier warm ranking to do an ABM rank. So not only from a lead standpoint, but also from an account standpoint. And then you can see a variety of other data points. And this is just really the tip of the iceberg of all of those amazing data points that can come from Demandbase, right natively fed right into the CRM platform. So let's move in from the CRM side over into the Marketing Cloud side, because that's going to be the tool that's going to be sending out those emails, those SMS messages to those leads. And the first stop in the Marketing Cloud environment is how these 2 platforms, the Salesforce CRM environment and the Marketing Cloud environment, talk. And that's through these synchronized data extensions. So you can set up in Marketing Cloud all of these different objects and pull in all of that object-related data. So if we go into this campaign member Salesforce synchronized data extension, again, you can select all the different fields directly from those CRM objects and just display them here. And just to show that example, we can go and navigate into those leads that Josh had added to this data set. And then we can see down here at the bottom, here's Sarah, John, and Andy linked right into Salesforce, from Salesforce right into Marketing Cloud. Now we have all that data, so then we can put them into journeys and nurture them, as Tara had mentioned. So jumping over into the journey themselves, we've got a journey set up that's going to feed them down a variety of different paths based on their ranking, not only from a lead standpoint, but also from account standpoint. So we've got a hot path, which is going to alert sales by creating a custom task in their CRM environment, plus send them an email with a hot lead notification to let them know that lead is ready to talk. If they're on that warm path, we're going to send an email out to try to engage that lead. If they're ready to talk, they're going to get fed back up into this hot path. If they're not ready to talk, then they're going to get fed over into what is a standard lead nurture program, which would be a series of emails or SMS or social messages that would be sent, but checking before each one of those engagements to make sure that that status still wants to be engaged from the Salesforce, the sales side. So here's a quick picture of the lead nurture journey. And then secondly, we've got another journey set up here, which is going to send a hot lead notification to the owner of that lead. Again, it's not being sent to the lead itself. This is going to be a custom email sent to the salesperson to say, hey, this lead is ready to be talked, to reach out and provide all that relevant information to that to that salesperson. So just quickly going over the key functions of a journey in the Marketing Cloud environment. The most important part of any journey is this entry event. So what are these leads? Who is going to be qualifying for this lead nurture experience? And on the Marketing Cloud side, that's typically set up in an automation in Automation Studio. So we've got a simplified version here to just give you an idea of how that's set up on the back end. We don't go into too much detail, but there's 3 sections that we're, when you're ever building an automation in the Marketing Cloud side, there's this select section, which outputs all these values that are going to be used in the email send itself. And then we've got this from section, your standard SQL from statement, which pulls all the data. Again, this is going to be from those synchronized data extensions, those objects from the Salesforce CRM environment. And the last part is this where clause, which is going to help filter down that you don't want to bring in all of these leads. You only want to bring them from a certain campaign with a certain status and to make sure that those leads are open. So here's just a quick snapshot, again, of that data that came from Demandbase, went into the Salesforce CRM environment, and now is being pulled into Marketing Cloud that we can drive these journeys. So we've got that contact ID. For this example, I'm just using my email because we're going to be sending those emails to myself, so you can actually see those live emails be sent. We've got that predictive score, as Josh mentioned, and that ABM score. Both of those 2 scores we're going to use to fold into a overall ranking. And then we've got the details, specific personalization that we're going to be tailoring in the messaging today. So the last part of the automation is to basically run the automation itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this automation. We're going to feed these 3 leads into our journey so we can see those emails come through and see the hot lead notifications. So I'm just quickly activating this journey, which should feed them into the journey itself. So let's just quickly go back into the journey. And now that we've covered the entry event, let's cover a couple of the key other functions within the journey. So if we go into a version of this, we can talk a little bit about these decision splits. And the decision splits are those pieces of architecture in the journey that are going to allow for the different paths to determine which paths each of the subscribers or each of the leads should be going down. So this decision split is based off of a ranking, lead ranking, consolidated lead ranking that combines the lead rank and the account rank. And basically, if it equals a hot rank, it's going to be sent down one path. If it's equal to a warm rank, it gets sent down another one. So it's a basic overview of those decision splits, which help determine the different paths you might be going down in the journey itself. The other functionality we want to talk about is the functions that are updating those objects in the Salesforce CRM environment. So the first one is this campaign member update object, which is going back into the Salesforce CRM environment and updating the status of that campaign member. So once they enter in the campaign, we want to change, if they're a hot lead, we want to change that campaign status in the CRM environment to hot lead from campaign. So that's what that functionality will do. The second function is actually going to create a task in the CRM environment. So this will, the salesperson will get an alert right in the Salesforce CRM environment. It's going to be assigned to the owner of that lead. It's going to give them a custom message that we've got here programmed that would say something like, attention, you have a hot, warm, or cold lead, and it's from company X, Y, and Z. So that's how you set up. And again, we could go over that in a little bit more detail in another session. And then the last section is updating the lead itself so it triggers the hot lead notification. So let's go back into the journey and see if we've got any new people coming in now that we've activated that automation. We should see some emails coming through pretty quickly, seeing them go down the different paths within the journey itself. So we'll just refresh this real quick. And so we're starting to see the different leads come through. Let me check my inbox. We should see some of these emails coming through themselves. So here's that warm lead. Here's an example of that lead that you would get. Again, this is all custom content that we can go through. We've got credit card services here that's being displayed because that's the product that the lead was interested in. We've got a custom call to action. We've got a custom rep signature here based on the owner of the lead itself. Let's go into the hot lead notification example and just give you a quick overview of the functionality here. So again, this would be going directly to the salesperson, alerting them that this lead is ready to talk. It's got all of the basic information that they would need to know, including that overall ranking. If they click right into this lead itself, it should take them right back into the Salesforce CRM environment. And this sort of closes that loop of the Marketing Cloud environment, creating that custom task that this journey just created. So let's click into this task. This was just created by that journey itself. So again, populating that data back in the CRM environment, alerting that salesperson that that lead is ready to talk. And then if we go into the lead itself, we can see some fields being updated from the Salesforce, from the Marketing Cloud environment. So it talks about when that hot lead was sent. It's now got that ABM tier field populated along with that consolidated ranking itself. So it's sort of full circle, that amazing data coming in from Demandbase into the Salesforce CRM environment, being ported over into Marketing Cloud, and then Marketing Cloud communicating that back into the Salesforce CRM environment for Josh and the team to pull back into Demandbase to help tailor use that as an intent variable and to help drive intent from that standpoint. So I will, that's basically the full circle we wanted to present from end to end, and I'll pass it back to the team.
Okay, so I guess that was our cue that Tim wrapped up. Josh, if you can jump to slide 26, I believe, for me. Yeah. It should be coded with Salesforce. Yes, go up one more for me, I believe.
Up or down?
25. Yes, this one. Okay, so Tim, I'm not sure if you talked about this or not, but I couldn't see it. And I feel like this is really important for folks to see on the call. So anytime that you are creating an integrated campaign, in my mind, the most important part is enabling the field, whether that's your sales team for prospect initiatives, or if it's your relationship managers or advisors, for anything that's more client or customer focused. And the way that Tim and I have created this in the past is with a hot lead email. So for many of you marketers who may be listening, your sales and relationship manager folks live in email, on the phone, and if you're lucky, Salesforce. So we went with creating the systems in all the places, but in my mind, the one that was leveraged the most was email. And so what we did for them was anytime a hot lead was coming in, we put the most important information, right? So that could be, unique to your bank, unique to you as an asset manager, whatever that is. In our case, it was name, what company do they work for, their phone number, their email. Could the seller get access to the lead record and where it was, what product they may be interested in, what their overall ranking was, any type of like tiering or predictive score, or if you have, your own next best model, for example, that could also be included. And what I wanted to do was make the enablement of the marketing play easy for our sellers and our relationship managers. And I felt like this was a really easy way to do it. However, I'm sure it took Tim a long time to figure out how to do it. And it's not super pretty. It's in a box, but it's got all the information they need. So I just wanted to show that really quickly before we wrap up. And Josh, if you could just jump back to the original slide that I had asked you to share, 11, I think it was, the one with the visual of Salesforce, Demandbase, and Marketing Cloud. Yes. So everything that you heard Tim, Josh, and I talking through, this is, a flow chart of what that depiction actually looks like. And it's in the slides. So if anyone afterwards is interested in having the slides, Tim has a number, probably about 10 or 15 different actual screenshots of the process to create this in Sales Cloud and Marketing Cloud. There's a number of, Demandbase slides in there as well. But, at the end of the day, Demandbase is helping to provide those third-party insights, right? And the intent for folks. And then we are helping to create your target account list. We're pushing those leads over to Sales Cloud with the appropriate scoring. In our case, we tried to keep it really simple. So it was like a cold, warm, hot type of thing. And then those are all getting pushed over to Marketing Cloud to start your journey. So I know that we went over a little bit and I wanted to wrap up. Caitlin, I'm not sure if there's any questions that came through live. If there are not, I would love if Josh could expand just really quickly on how we think about engagement minutes and maybe a little bit more about our predictive scoring. And then I think we can wrap it up.
Sure. Yeah, happy to. So Demandbase is really unique in really how configurable the platform can be. So we touched on engagement minutes at the very start, but essentially and I'll show you the behind the scenes view in the platform here. Every, if I can spell, activity that we're bringing into Demandbase, we are scoring and assigning a value. Out of the box, this comes with recommended values. Things like a page view is worth 1. Intent is worth about 1/10 of a single point. But all of these values can be customized, can be configured. You see here where we really built out in this demo instance how we're scoring different pages of our site differently, or even how we're thinking about scoring different activities in Salesforce and how that comes into the platform. So you can really get very tailored and customized in terms of how you're actually scoring that engagement at accounts based on how you value different interactions and touch points. And then also predictive scores. This is where you can start to see those predictive scores on our dashboard. But really a huge differentiator for Demandbase as well, because these scores are built using machine learning and predictive analytics. And we also enable you to create up to 6 of these with our base out of the box subscription. So if you think about how you might sell differently to different industries, maybe different market segments, anything that has a different sales motion, selling cycle, you should have a different predictive score for that. And Demandbase makes it really easy for you to kind of create different models. You can retrain those models in 24 to 48 hours. So really, really strong suit of our platform is just, kind of how we can be prescriptive in helping you prioritize accounts. Looks like one other question came in around Pardot intent. Essentially, how does Salesforce intent work versus web traffic? Yeah, so I think intent in general, the question was essentially how does Pardot look at intent differently from something like an ABX or a ABM platform? Intent's one of those things that's kind of just used generally in the industry these days. Some people call website activity intent. Some other platforms will call like review views intent, which, don't get me wrong, my own opinion here I'm sharing, that it's all valuable in different capacities. But our intent is proprietary. We source it from a network of publisher sites. It's directly mapped to content, press releases, blogs, things like that your target accounts have consumed offsite. Another misconception, there's a lot of people think that intent is mapped to search terms, but think of it as a layer deeper. If someone, is searching in a search engine, clicks through to an article, we're giving you contextual insight into what content your accounts are engaging with. So hopefully that answered the question. I know we're about a couple minutes over, but anything else coming in? Engagement visiting. Yeah, another loose question. How is engagement visiting the website different than engaging in an email? That is kind of exactly what that engagement scoring is built out to do, even by default, just out of the box. Things like a website visit is worth significantly less than something like clicking through, reading an email, because, and I guess I'll say you're free to change this as a customer who might value touch points differently. But things like those, engaging with your marketing content, or even further down the funnel, taking a sales meeting, like sitting on the phone for 30 minutes, all of those are meant to scale up with different levels of engagement and just better score your accounts. So yeah, I know we're a few minutes over, but hopefully that answered everyone's questions. Happy to help out further if there's any follow-up.
Yeah, awesome. I just want to say a big thanks to Tim and Josh for taking time out of their day to share all their knowledge with us, and really hopefully giving you all something that's super tangible and valuable by seeing, 3 different platforms, how they can work together, all the things that Demandbase has to offer with insights and intent and AI and predictive scores, and then transitioning, those use cases over to Salesforce and through Marketing Cloud to create those omni-channel and integrated marketing approaches, and then ultimately, helping to power more revenue for your bank, asset manager, insurance company, and helping your customers at the end of the day. So thank you all for joining, and hopefully Josh and Tim had a good time, and you did too, and we can do it again at some point. So stay tuned for more Demandbase and Salesforce and Cervello collaboration in the future, and have a good rest of your day.